Welcome to our preview party. My name is Monique Mead, and I am the instructor of the Art Audience Engagement course. Some of our students you've met in the lobby already as you came in, and in just a moment you're going to hear a talk on Shostakovich by Evan Buckley, and I invite you to come take a seat. The talk's 12 minutes long, Evan, just long enough for tuition, and so there are still some prime seats here. Please feel free to come sit for a moment, and in 1 minute, 11, it's going to start. You guys, whenever you see this name, just start. Enjoyed the concert so far, and the idea of what Evan's doing here is he's going to tell you about the symphony, and then for those of you who are technology friendly, you know how it is when somebody tells you about the music, and then you go in and you say, yeah, was that the spot, or was this it, or maybe this was it. Well, he's going to let you know exactly what it is, because he's going to tweet you, if you have Twitter, he's going to tweet you, this is that spot that I was talking about. So there'll be sort of live answer commentary going on during the symphony. And now please welcome Evan Buckley.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Imagine an overwhelming fantasy in which the government controls all aspects of society. Press, religion, media, and art and music. Now, I'd like you to turn your minds back to the real-life version of a real story. The year is not 2014, nor is it 1984. The year is 1936. World War I and the Russian Revolution are relatively fresh memories in the minds of most people. There was some private initiative in the 20s, but by now the party's grip has squeezed out the last of it. Here in Pittsburgh, across the street, the University of Pittsburgh Cathedral of Learning was only 2 years old. Are you there? Good. Music is one of the most dangerous professions. It is far too subjective for a totalitarian dictatorship. For someone who was a true Machiavellian ruler, do not allow dissent, show no sympathy, rule with an unforgiving iron fist, with fear and with cruelty. Now this all sounds a bit heavy and dramatic. It is. This is one of the greatest page-turner stories ever written. Our star for the evening, Shostakovich, became a Soviet icon at only 19 years old, a decade before his Fifth Symphony. This is fine. Of course, the eyes of the state are upon him, but they're touting him as one of the greatest Soviets. They send him around the world and brag about him. Now, if you've heard a few stories in your lifetime, you probably know what I'm saying about him. Shostakovich wrote an opera called Lady Macbeth of an Sensitive Instrument, which did enjoy 2 years of unrivaled popularity. But as the party tightened its grip on the avant-garde, the opera was denounced in the state newspaper Pravda as, quote, muddle instead of music. This is nearly a death sentence. And the Grabian situation is not lost on Shostakovich, who gets to work right away, writing his Fifth Symphony, which is subtitled A Soviet Artist's Response to Just Criticism. So, as we listen to the opening of the symphony, focus your attention on groups of 2 notes and groups of 3 notes. So what's going on here? making all this up. We're in these groups with 2 notes and 3 notes. Isn't music supposed to be about melodies and chord? Oh, you're right, it is. But these are the basic building blocks that are layered throughout the symphony. And it always helps me when I'm listening to have something tangible, character, or idea that isn't just a sound, it needs something. So, does anyone have any ideas what this 2-note motive could be? Shout it out. It's a dotted rhythm, so it's not straight. I think we should all be familiar with that sound. For me, this is a heartbeat. And this heartbeat will get faster and slower, and louder, and more dramatic, and will be in the forefront and the background. It'll do everything that your heart does on a daily basis. What about 3 notes? For the 3 notes, remember, we're all Russians. We live with the fear of disappearing in the middle of the night at the hands of the secret police. The official reviewer, Alexei Tolstoy, not the famous Leo Tolstoy, who is Alexei, the state reviewer for this kind of event, heard the first movement as a psychological crisis, implying that the problem was within the individual. It wasn't external. This is a problem with someone's mind, not the system of human mind. However, Tolstoy seems to believe what he wants us to believe. Sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, this is a good point for me to step back and mention that Shostakovich was a master at the art of a concept called doublespeak. And if you've read Who Was 1984, you might be familiar with this. Doublespeak is saying one thing and meaning another. It's a political savvy combination of irony, sarcasm, deception, and of course submission. You have to agree with any other layers of meaning. Okay, so Shostakovich is getting ready to take us on a truly wild ride through the symphony, using the 2 notes and 3 notes we just heard, as well as some other melodic material. In the next clip, listen to the brass section, listen to the martial quality of it, and how they seem like they're trying to rise above the struggle, perhaps to freedom. Something that sounds pretty sultry. This is great. We can picture a proud army marching through Red Square. But let's listen to what happens next and focus your attention on the idea of doublespeak. This is the very same phrase, but the second half of it. Shostakovich is trying to tell us something here. Our military march is somehow turned into something sinister and evil. The 2-note motive was still there, if you noticed, in the low brass, they're playing the exact same opening motive as the beginning. And the 3-note motive was also there. It was snare drum sounding at this speed more like gunfire. Now, I'm not going to ruin the second one. I'm going to let you experience this one completely clean. But I am going to challenge you to come up with your own interpretation of this. We know in tradition this should be a waltz, this should be a palate cleanser between the heavy material that we just heard. And Shostakovich does give us movement in 3 times, a waltz. But it's not dancing. This is music of terror. This is military music. This is angular, it's clumsy, and it's shrill, and that's not good enough for players, that's not good enough for writing. That's on purpose. So, if you agree between seats, tweet your ideas. If not, you can get to it after the concert. I'm interested to see what you think. Now, in the third movement, Shostakovich's fluency in the art of doublespeak truly comes to fruition. This is the sound of what the poet Pablo Neruda describes as between the shadow and the soul. That's how I hear it. And it's probably safe to say that for most of us in this room, between the shadow and the soul describes something like the morning of September 11th at about 9 a.m. For Russians of Shostakovich's generation, this was sort of the silent acknowledgement of the comeuppance, the labor camps which some sent over 20 million people to their deaths. Tolstoy wrote that in the Largo, the composer hero submerges itself in the great epic that surrounds it and begins to resonate with the epic. This sounds great, but it might be an exercise in creative writing. The audience at the premiere, openly weeping, didn't see this as a good thing. I'm sorry, I wish I could play all of it for you. This movement is an utterly gorgeous hymn to the lives lost or rather discarded. There are oceans of tension without release, and this movement is the anchor point in the symphony. It tells us what to think about what came before and what came after. As you listen for individual voices. Listen for a solo flute, a solo clarinet, a solo oboe. Shostakovich is asking us to identify with each individual Russian, all 20 million of them. Now, the finale that follows is still one of the most hotly debated chapters in music history. The question is it happy or sad? And this sounds overly simplistic, so let me rephrase it. Is this triumphant music, or is this a hollow imitation of triumph? Let's keep that in mind as we listen through the last movements, and take note of the timpani part, as this will become important later on. This explosion of rage is a natural reaction to the movement that we just left. It's a human reaction to something as horrible as the gulags, or what was your first reaction on September 11th? How dare they do this to us? Anger. But the clouds part for a moment, just to fool the authorities somewhat. So far, so good. This is pretty triumphant. We could end right here and be pretty happy. Shostakovich chose us for another loop, just like in the first movie. Here's again the end of the same phrase. Always come prepared, I forgot to Xerox a page. As you listen, it becomes clear that in the symphony, triumphant music always immediately precedes a dramatic shift in character from triumphant on the one hand to utterly abysmal on the other. And if you notice the timpani a moment ago, you might be thinking, this seems awfully violent, doesn't it? And you're right, it is. In the very last moments of the symphony, there's a coda, something of a last chapter that ties up all the loose ends and resolves the story. And there's basically two ways for this part to go. On the one hand, an incredibly fast tempo rushes us through these moments of rejoicing, if you can call it that. Sorry, spoiler alert. Now, in a 50-minute symphony, this is it. That's all the rejoicing there is. We're still in terror for the first movement. We're still tasting the third movement. And the bipolarity of violence and triumph, violence and triumph, is still fresh in our minds from the finale. We've barely had a chance to recover emotionally before we're expected to applaud and move on with our lives. It's just how disorienting. Now, the other thing that can happen is a painfully slow version of this coda that drags out the rejoicing to the point that it's not even funny. seems as either someone's forcing you to rejoice, or that you don't really get to rejoice. There's a line that's frequently used to describe the ending, and it goes, it's as if someone were beating you with a stick, saying, your business is rejoicing. Your business is rejoicing. That sounds like what's happening to me. And you rise, shaking, and go on muttering, our business is rejoicing. Our business is rejoicing. Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony stands tall next to any work of art in this museum or in a concert hall because it is a great work. It has profound philosophical themes: survival, the value of humanity, freedom of expression, the individual in society, and a struggle against absolute evil. It speaks across the ages and to every thoughtful individual. It is just as powerful and relevant and necessary a statement today in Pittsburgh in 2014 as it was in Moscow in 1986. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, the music itself literally says what words never could have. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the concert.